Hi there, everybody. It is Wednesday evening. Happy to be with you. It is meteorologist Matt Wintz. We've got quite a crazy storm system out in the Plains States right now. We've been talking about the potency of the wind field of the storm system for days now, and it is coming to fruition. So, we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about local impacts here from that storm system. And we'll kind of walk through every single crazy element of weather that is occurring with this system, all coming up in this Region Weather Live. And thanks for joining us, everybody. Again, Region Weather Meteorologist Matt Wintz with a look at your forecast. We've got gusty winds tonight. We've been seeing gusts probably the last 6.5 hours or so, up near 40 miles per hour at times. They've been very gusty throughout the afternoon and evening. And we're not alone. It's pretty much the entire upper Midwest and even getting into the Great Lakes, even the Central Plains that are dealing with high wind warnings right now due to the system. So what's the system look like right now? Well, this is it. It is spinning up like a top. This is a very tightly wound area of low pressure that continues to get stronger by the hour. That is as expected. It'll continue to get stronger throughout the evening hours, and then it'll kind of spread itself out a little bit. But this thing, if you think about areas of low pressure, it's literally that. It's almost like a vacuum in the sky where you have this area of low pressure with lots of rising air, and you have to fill that air that's rising somehow. So it's all the wind that rushes into that system. So that's what we're feeling outside locally, is that wind that's rushing towards that low pressure to fill that void or fill that little vacuum that's going up. And that vacuum, so to speak, right now is right over Iowa. We've had severe weather with tornadic activity. Once again, areas of Iowa, Nebraska, there were several tornadoes reported already. The line of storms with this has been producing 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, pretty commonplace as this line moved through. Starting to see some trends now in Iowa of things backing down a little bit, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds being reported with this line. And later on, this is a line that we're going to be watching head into our area. I'm not expecting anything severe out of this locally. I'm just going to go ahead and say that we've got strong winds to deal with, though, and that sometimes can be worse than an actual thunderstorm that comes through with some of the gusty winds. On the backside of this, we've got much colder air moving in. It's incredible. Temperatures go from the 70s in Iowa right now to the 20s back in South Dakota. Areas of Montana have a wind chill advisory out. They're expecting 25-degree below zero wind chills. I mean, this system's incredible. It really is. From a meteorological perspective, this system's doing a lot. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. So we'll take you through the winds here locally. We've been talking about that over the last couple of days on our website and right here on our Facebook page as well. So it should come no surprise to us, but we're certainly dealing with a lot of this locally. All right, want to say hi to everyone. JB says heavy winds already in DeMont. Hi there to you, Brandon. Hi, Terry. Brandon says same in Wheatfield. Appreciate that. Brent is here from the Cleveland area in Westlake saying worried about home. Brent, just some gusty winds tonight here. I'm not too worried about severe threat or anything like that. And I think these winds, at least in the Cleveland area, are going to be a lot less than what we dealt with last week. So no big deal with that. Dorothy dealing with strong winds in Valpo. Jill, you're absolutely welcome. And Charlene, that's great. That's great to hear. I appreciate that. We'll let you know everything that's going on. No problem whatsoever. And then Dorothy, a lot of wind today, warm temps. Temps aren't dropping yet, Dorothy. Temps are going to drop likely tomorrow morning during the early morning hours once this front goes by. So let's get down to it in terms of when we're expecting this front to go by. I'll go full screen so you can see us a little bit better. I'll take you to the radar version now. And I mean, look at the presentation of this. It's literally this comma-shaped, perfect. I mean, this is what I used to doodle on homework, would be this perfectly defined cold front with a low pressure in the back. This leading edge that you see right in here, this is where the severe weather is. As you get up towards northern areas of Iowa and southern Minnesota, that's where we're dealing with the most shear from the storm system. So that's where the tornado threat has been. And then you get down towards the south, it's damaging winds because there's strong winds getting tapped into with this. And this is eventually going to head our way. So what we're dealing with tonight in the Northwest Indiana region is this line pushing in, but it'll be fading as it does so. I really don't think it's going to have this kind of potency with it as it moves in. This top area of energy up here will head north, and the whole thing will kind of split. The southern area will kind of head off towards the east, and you can kind of picture it getting kind of pulled apart here in northern Missouri. I think that's what we deal with. I think we'll have some showers. Those showers will have gusty winds with them. Some of them could be damaging, right? 50 to 60 mile per hour, not out of the question because it's tapping into the jet stream, but overall, not dealing with anything in terms of tornadic activity locally or anything like that. I think it's mainly just the sustained winds that are going to be a problem and some of the gusts within the system. So let's look at what the modeling does. Models have had a really good handle on this the last 2 days. You can see the line of storms that we had earlier tonight. You can see how it gets kind of pulled apart. I agree with that. And all the models do. One chunk goes north into Wisconsin. The other one comes into western Illinois. Could still have some severe thunderstorm warnings for the damaging winds out towards the west. But as this moves in, we're talking, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., maybe a little sooner. I really don't think it's going to be much sooner than that. But as that moves in, we have some gusty showers. That's about it. And then as it heads out towards the east, you can see how that northern branch of this system is now long gone. It's way up by Lake Superior. We have this kind of break in between where we are, and then the southern flank will get going again, and it will develop some showers along it, but nothing compared to what they're experiencing in the Midwest. So that's certainly some good news. I do not see this being a big severe threat for us locally. I don't think this is going to really be a big deal outside of the gusty winds. And that is not thunderstorm related, that is system related. And we've already been seeing that today. So in terms of the strongest winds, they're still yet to come. I think we're going to have gusts over 50 overnight tonight. I'm going to take you to the wind gust map. And again, normally I'm picking and choosing models, but I think they've all got a really good handle on this. So I'm not too worried about this being inaccurate. I think it's got a real good handle. You notice the winds 30 mile per hour plus here this evening. Watch how they ramp up in the Chicago area tonight. This is 10, 11 o'clock now. We're talking gusts over 40, perhaps approaching 50 as this low pressure approaches. And then overnight tonight, this is 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when that line goes through, we're talking gusts in the low 50s. So we're cranking it out. And then tomorrow morning, this is when most of us are getting up, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. The wind will still be gusty, but it'll be subsiding. And it's also going to be colder as well. And notice how those strong winds get pushed over into Ohio and eastern Michigan, where the gusts will be upwards of 50 at times. And then everything kind of subsides as the slow pressure just kind of spreads out and loses some of its potency. In terms of temperatures, you're going to feel that. Temperatures have been in the 70s in Iowa and a good portion of the plains. It's just been, they should be in the mid 30s this time of year, and they're in the 70s. That's how much of a pull this system has bringing this air in. But watch as we go through time. Tonight we hold in the 50s, and this is tomorrow morning when I'm expecting that front to pass. We go from the 50s. This is like 6 a.m., and then we're back into the 40s. But the good news is we don't have a huge push of cold air behind this. It's more Pacific air once again. So we go back into the 40s and maybe 30s by tomorrow evening, but it's not that sharp hit that they're getting up in the plain states. And then you can see another system develops down to our south as we get into the weekend. So that's really what we're dealing with. That's what it looks like. Again, gusty winds tonight. I do think we'll have gusts over 50 at times. So if you do have, lawn ornaments, stuff like that, it should already be tied down due to last week's storm system. But, you might want to just reconsider the things you have in your yard that could blow around. You probably already did that today with the gusty winds. It's really only going to ramp up another 10 miles per hour or so. So keep that in mind. And then we should be done with the real windy systems at least for 5 or 7 days as it looks right now. If you joined me last week, we were talking about these two systems. Remember, we said that pattern would turn active again. We were highlighting that severe weather with the deadly tornadoes down in areas of Kentucky. And then we saw this one coming as well. So after this, I think we kind of relaxed a little bit. There'll be a couple weaker systems down to the south. But this is really it in terms of the real powerful systems this week. And then we can bring a sigh of relief. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer those now. Just shoot them off on either our YouTube channel or the Facebook page as well. Certainly appreciate that. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'll try to get back and answer some of these, and then we'll get you on your way here as of this evening to enjoy the wind and the warmth, right? It's bonus territory in terms of temperatures outside. So I appreciate all the reports coming in. Lisa saying hi from Dyer. It's windy but warm. Yep, absolutely. Terry, you're welcome for sure. Dorothy says howdy from the farmland, unincorporated Valpo. Absolutely. That's a great area. I'll tell you. I remember my days going back to the Porter County Fair, and I remember doing live shots there with Frog Legs. Those were my beginning TV days with Jody Jewell at Lakeshore Public Television. But I had lots of fun in the Valpo area, even unincorporated Valpo. Mac, I appreciate that. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome, buddy, for sure. Let's see. Wendy and Hobart says Missy. Lisa says Wendy and Hammond. Kevin says it looks like a bass clef. It kind of does, Kevin. Yeah, for sure. You can see all sorts of things if you look at radar long enough, for sure. Dorothy, absolutely. Gail says strong winds in Crown Point. Teresa, you're welcome. Hey, Matt, thanks for always keeping us informed. Gusty in Westville. Thank you, Kim, for that. Sherry, you're welcome as well. Let's see. Michael says highest measured 27 mile per hour wind gusts in Valparaiso at your home. Michael, I have Valpo, I think, officially clocked in. I saw a couple 38 and 39 mile per hour gusts. Depends on where you are. Depends on your setup at home. I too have a Tempest, which is a weather system, which measures wind and stuff like that in our backyard. And I'm telling you, we've had, squall lines come through in the summertime and stuff like that. And I can barely get wind out of that thing. So I don't know if it's calibrated lower or what's going on with that. But I think 27 is a little low, Michael, compared to the rest of Valpo, but it probably is accurate in your yard, right? Depending on the setup. Max, you're welcome. Thank you, buddy. Allie asks on our YouTube channel, are there any expected tornado spin-ups? Allie, not in the Chicago area, not Northwest Indiana. No, I don't see any of that tonight. I think the shear, when I talk shear, that means different wind direction or speed with height, right? Because everything builds up, clouds build up. So when we talk about shear, all the shear which leads to tornadoes, or the bulk of it, let's just say that is in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin right now. So that's where the tornado threat would be. And even that's going to diminish over the next couple hours. For us, if anything, I think it would be stronger winds out of some of these gustier showers that move in. Because the shower, remember, is built, it's a big area of clouds, right? A thunderstorm is, even a shower is, where you have the clouds that go higher in the sky. And we've got a jet stream that's hauling through that. So you get updrafts and downdrafts within that shower. And that can bring some of that strong jet stream energy down to the surface. And that's how you get your stronger winds when the rain comes in sometimes, because you've got downdrafts with the rain bringing that wind down to the surface. So that's our only threat tonight, I think, would be from some stronger winds. But I do not see a tornado threat locally. Absolutely not. Rhonda, do you think trees will get uprooted again? Sorry, Rhonda, to hear that. I don't think so. I think our trees have gotten a nice pruning from last week's storms. If you haven't had a high wind event in, 4 or 5 years, the trees tend to not know what to do when it gets windy, right? And you'll lose a lot of branches. Some will get uprooted. We haven't had a lot of rain since that event. So that's another thing. The loose soil from all that heavy rain tended to weaken some of those trees as well. But I think our trees are good. It's not to say we won't have power outages tonight with 50 plus mile per hour winds, but I think the bulk of the wind damage would have been from last week's storms, last week's quick spin up tornado we had in Lake County as well. But I don't think we'll have a lot of uprooted trees or anything like that. I think it'll be more the limbs and branches and stuff like that. That being said, make sure you charge your stuff tonight. It's always a good idea. Right now, plug in your phone, anything that has a battery to it, just in case you do lose power overnight tonight. You should be doing that any wind event, but that would certainly help for sure. Rhonda says, thank you for keeping us informed. You're welcome, Rhonda, for sure. Hope you're doing well. Ben says his trees are bending over in South Valpo. Ben, yeah, it's gusty now, buddy. It's going to pick up though as that low pressure gets closer. Once that low gets towards like Minnesota, Wisconsin border, which is really next 5 or 6 hours, it'll be closest to us. And so I think our winds will pick up even more so with that as that moves in. So after hearing you give us an update, my anxiety, I don't know, has subsided. Always a bit scarier. Oh, yeah, Kimberly, a lot of people have like weather anxiety, and I totally get that. And again, if you've known me long enough, I teach the kids in school not to be scared of weather, to be fascinated by it. There's never anything to be scared of. I know the unknown is scary. I get that. And now right, how tonight's going to behave. But as long as you have a way to find out what the weather's going to do, or have someone explain it. I get it that helps. But man, learn as much as you can about the weather, Kimberly, and I'll try to teach as much too. But as long as you know what's going on, there's nothing scary about it. Even tornadoes, they can produce damage. We picture Hollywood-esque tornadoes that are just sucking up everything. And yes, they do that, but there's also people called meteorologists who can dissect the storm and know where that tornado is, or know where it's developing, much like what we dealt with last Friday night when I was with you, in terms of that cell we were watching, right? The areas out ahead of it that we were like, okay, it's kind of squirrely. And then all of a sudden, boom, that thing spun up. But it wasn't a surprise where it was, right? Because we were able to dissect that storm. So I'm glad the weather anxiety's gone. I wish that to not exist with anyone, really. Let's see, Stephanie, just joining you, but thanks for your updates. So appreciate. Oh, Stephanie, you're so nice. I appreciate it. You're absolutely welcome. All my leads have blown from St. John to Highland. Dave, there's some strategy involved in where you rake out ahead of strong wind events, depending on the wind direction. I totally get it. Last week, I'll just share a quick story. Last week, where I rake my leaves to the street, a west wind would blow them back into my yard. Let's just say that. So I don't rake if it's going to be a west wind. If it's a south wind or a north wind, I'll rake them all day. And I'll rake them right to the side of the yard. I don't think my neighbors know that trick, but you got to pay attention to that wind direction. Dorothy says, agree on the leaves with 5 acres. Yeah, boy, that's a lot. That's a lot to take care of. David says, where to hide if there's a tornado? There won't be tonight, David. But that's a great question. So, David, if you do not have a basement, that's okay. Traditionally you go to the basement, you go to underneath a table in the basement. It helps to wear a helmet too. You do anything to protect your head, but a lot of people don't have basements. And if you don't have a basement, that's okay. You go to an interior room. So that's usually a bathroom or a closet. You want to make sure everything's safe in there. And it puts as many walls between you and the outside as possible. That's what we always say. No tornado tonight, though. Don't worry about it. Beth gives up on Christmas decorations this year. Nice. I don't blame you, Beth, especially if you've tried to set them up several times. They keep getting knocked down. That's great. All right, let's see. Linda says, well, it leaves in Highland Blue to Hammond. Nice. So everyone's just trading leaves. I get that. That's great. All right, guys. So that's what we're dealing with. So just a quick recap, and I'll let you guys go. We've got this system out towards the west, severe weather ongoing areas of Iowa. This is becoming a damaging wind event to our west. The tornado event is still going. They've had several tornadoes already, but that's going to shift up towards Minnesota. By the way, there's snow on the ground in areas of Minnesota where they're getting potentially tornado warnings. So someone mentioned earlier on Twitter, Snow-nado. I can't say it's not possible tonight, but pretty wild weather up there. For us, this line, as it moves in, is going to break apart. We're likely going to see some of it hold together. We'll get some gustier showers around here, probably after midnight. I'm aiming more 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't see a tornado threat with it. I see a damaging wind threat, if anything, but we're already dealing with those real strong winds now. And they'll ramp up a little bit. We'll likely have gusts over 50 tonight. So strong winds, not associated with storms. And then we'll have strong winds associated with showers between 1 and 2. And then the winds will continue and our temperatures will start to drop for that morning rush hour tomorrow. Okay. So that's it. Kevin says I was right about the Bears. I'm telling you, Kevin, I do this for a living, buddy. Next up is going to be a sports betting channel. Oh, wait, they already have 100 of those. Okay, it won't be. David, I don't think power outage is going to be a huge deal because, again, everything's kind of pruned already in terms of the trees and the weak limbs. I do think we will have some power outages, though. Anytime you bring 50-mile-per-hour winds into the region, we tend to deal with that. So, and then Linda's ready for the snow. Linda, after the systems moves through, we're going to be on snow watch. Okay, we're going to take you through Christmas and New Year's Day, and we're going to be on the watch for snow because it has been a very, very quiet December across the eastern U.S. People think that because it hasn't snowed where we live, that there's no snow going on and that everyone's warm. That's not the case. The West has been getting hammered with snow. The mountains are full of it. Southern California, they got 8 to 10 feet of snow in the last 48 hours. They've got some crazy sick snow out west. But for the eastern half of the country, it's been bare because it's been so warm. I mean, we're talking 30 to 40 degrees above average. That's incredible. So that's what we're dealing with. We'll definitely be on snow watch coming up. Okay. All right, everybody. Enjoy your Wednesday night. Again, we'll pass along anything as needed, but nothing to fear tonight. I don't see a tornado threat again. Gusty winds. They'll be with us for a while. They'll subside later on tomorrow. Okay. All right. Good talking to you. Thanks for joining us. Bye.